On August 19, there was a shootout between Russians in the Kherson region. As a result, more than 20 people were killed and there are also wounded. The partisan movement ATESH said in a statement. According to the publication, the events took place on the left bank of the Kherson region. The armed conflict arose between units of the 127th Reconnaissance Brigade and the 24th Motorized Rifle Regiment. It all started when servicemen from the 24th Regiment opened fire on the positions of the 127th Brigade. They, in turn, mistook them for a Ukrainian sabotage and assault group and raised the reserve unit on alert. As a result, a chaotic firefight broke out, the statement said. As a result of the clash, 21 occupiers were eliminated, 17 were injured. In addition, after the incident, checks began in the units, control and interrogation of personnel were strengthened. The atmosphere within the occupation units has become even more tense, mistrust is growing, soldiers suspect each other of provocations, and commanders fear new conflicts, ATESH summed up. Let us recall that this is not the first time that there has been a shootout between them. For example, in July 2022, in the occupied Tokmak of the Zaporizhia region, a conflict occurred between Russians that escalated into a shootout. As a result, 4 people were killed and about 10 more were injured. Near the settlement of Tokmak, which was immediately occupied by an enemy, a verbal conflict broke out between the military servicemen of Russia, which turned into a conflict, as a result of which 4 died and about 10 occupiers were wounded, media reported then.
Russian ZWAR correspondents Maxim Kalashnikov and Sviatoslav Golikov have begun to openly talk about how the Kremlin is deliberately driving its soldiers into senseless meat assaults. According to them, the goal is not only to seize Ukrainian territory, but also to reduce the number of soldiers who could pose a threat to the Russian government itself in the future. Dialogue media outlet reports this. Golikov noted that the manner in which the Russian army is conducting military operations makes many people think about the hidden purpose of what is happening. This manner of military actions makes me think that a disposal function is being carried out, a real disposal of these future destructive elements. They were officially designated at the highest level as the new elite of the country, and in the end, let's put more of them into the plantings so that fewer of them come back, said the Z Patriot. According to Golikov, a huge number of Russian military personnel return with serious mental trauma, which makes them potentially dangerous to society and the Putin regime, considering the conditions in which people are fighting. There are so many lost souls and leaking roofs that we can predict what could spill out onto the streets, because shell-shocked people with a broken psyche, we understand what it is. There are no brakes who are used to pulling the trigger, he emphasized. Golikov recalled that after the war in Afghanistan, many veterans turned to crime, and now the situation could be much worse. How many people went into crime after Afghanistan? And here it's an order of magnitude more. And then these people will explain to us that they improved the social situation. We are recycling the army, concluded the Z blogger. Another Russian war correspondent, Maxim Kalashnikov, spoke even more harshly. He warned that if the situation does not change, the coming consequences will be worse than those of the 1990s. He revealed horrific details about the activities of the Russian PMC Wagner, which also participated in the aggression against Ukraine. People saw for themselves how one famous PMC brought 4 KAMAZ trucks and threw them into battle head-on, and they finished off the wounded. Why? It's profitable. For each killed, the Russian PMC receives 12 million rubles in compensation. Well, 5 million goes to the family of the killed, and the rest? In Bakhmut, 20,000 Wagners perished. Calculate for yourself what kind of profit was made. Our business is death. Indeed it is. People are treated like waste material. They are the lower classes. They can be spared, Kalashnikov said. It is significant that despite such a policy of the Kremlin, both Kalashnikov and Golikov continue to actively support aggression against Ukraine and, as a result, the mass destruction of the Russian population. Russian units near Dobropilya in Donetsk Oblast have been cut off and are being encircled, Ukrainian military spokesman Viktor Tregubov said on national TV. At least for now, the Russian units that advanced directly toward Dobropilya, those crab claws, have been cut off and surrounded. They won't last long there, Tregubov said. A recent report by the Institute for the Study of War noted that Russia likely abandoned attempts to exploit its earlier gains near Dobropilya after failing to consolidate positions or use small group infiltration tactics to penetrate deeper into Ukrainian defenses. Recall in recent days, the Ukrainian Defense Forces have carried out a successful counterattack near Kupiansk, removing the threat of encirclement of this key defense hub. Military expert Yan Matveyev wrote about this in his blog. In just 1 week, Kupiansk experienced a situation where it was under threat of encirclement and almost immediately managed to get out of it. For a month, Russian troops held positions near Radkovka and tried to advance in the area of the village of Mirnoye. On August the 23rd to the 24th, Russian infantry broke through to the south and reached Sobolevka, advancing about 3 kilometers in depth. This created a threat to the R07 highway, which supplies Kupiansk from Kharkiv. Against the backdrop of these events, there were reports of the catastrophic situation of the Ukrainian garrison and even of the possible surrender of the city. The panic was intensified by rumors of fighting in the northern quarters. Russian units did indeed penetrate the city, but these were small groups. They managed only to temporarily infiltrate individual streets. They were unable to gain a foothold. Ukrainian forces thwarted their plans. Despite this, the possibility of Kupiansk falling was already being actively discussed in the information field. However, by the end of the week, Ukrainian troops had seized the initiative. The Ukrainian armed forces counterattacked, liberated Mirnoye, pushed Russian forces out of Sobolevka and restored control over the northern part of the city. The expert emphasizes that the situation in this area remains fluid. I think Russian attacks there will continue, but as before, we see a clear and competent reaction to the threat from the Ukrainians. They are saving their strength in order to use it at a critical moment and improve their position, Matveyev said. According to him, the defense of Kupiansk has now become more stable, although the threat still exists. The attempt to encircle the city ended in failure for the Russian army, and Ukrainian forces once again demonstrated their ability to respond effectively and quickly to critical threats.